Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about a Shudder original film, The Beach House. Before we begin, let me know in the comments if you were looking forward to this or what your thoughts were if you've seen it already, and make sure to give this a thumbs up if you like these reviews. It helps me out immensely if you do that. Also, if you're new here and you like movies, whether it be blockbusters, hidden gems, or everything in between, please consider hitting that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with reviews of new releases and some classics. But now, let's jump right into it. This stars Liana, Liberato, and Gros as Emily and Randall, a young couple who goes on a romantic getaway at Randall's parents' beach house, only to find that another older couple, played by Jake Weber and Maryann Nagel, who are friends with Randall's dad, are already there. Figuring there's enough room for all of them, both couples stay put at the beach house, but the weekend soon turns into a struggle to survive. This was released on Shudder back in July, and I haven't had a chance to talk about it until now. It's written and directed by Jeffrey A. Brown, making his feature debut, and this is certainly an interesting first film, to say the least. Right up front, I'll say he has a keen eye for visuals. This film is a mix of body horror and cosmic horror. There's almost a Lovecraftian feel to it as we see some of these really bizarre images mixed with some bloody, action-packed moments. And I think all of it looked great. I don't feel the production values looked cheap, it was shot well, the cinematography was beautiful, and the score was chilling. There was a fair amount of creepy imagery here, and I really enjoyed Brown's direction. I think he knows what it takes to make good horror. The acting is also solid for the most part. I honestly wasn't the biggest fan of Gros, mainly just because I found the character to be a bit obnoxious, but I thought Maryann Nagel was pretty good. We find out she's terminally ill, and the reason she and Jake Weber are away for the weekend is to have one last nice trip together, and I thought she handled the material well. But both Liana Liberato and Jake Weber were by far the two strongest performances here. I thought Liberato was a compelling lead. We find out her and her boyfriend are having some relationship troubles, and that's also getting in the way of her own goals, so we explore a bit of how that's affecting her, and I feel she had a good arc. And Weber was extremely charismatic. He would keep the conversations going, he would dig deeper into the younger couple's backgrounds, and you weren't sure if he was just being friendly or if there was more to him. And because of that, I always found him to be the most intriguing of the four main characters. And he's part of what drives this movie forward in the first half. The first 45 minutes or so is very dialogue based, as we get to know more about the two couples, and we see them just trying to enjoy themselves on the first night, while also getting more insight into some of their issues. There's a slow burning feel to it as you're waiting for more to be revealed. Though admittedly, it's sometimes a bit too slow, which leads to my issues with this. Despite being just under 90 minutes, the movie can have some very sluggish pacing. While it's good we get to know more about these characters, much of the first half felt like nothing but setup, and we're not exactly sure what the main point is, other than this seemingly normal night exploring the various problems these characters have. And without spoiling anything, once we get to the second half, we find out this movie ends up not being what you think it is. Once we realize what direction it's going in, it'll make or break viewers. It definitely dives more into the visuals that I mentioned earlier and gets into more bizarre territory. So for those who are looking for something a little more out of the ordinary, you may still be on board with this. Unfortunately, this didn't totally work for me because once the final 45 minutes play out, I realized how little the first half meant to the second half. A lot of what we discover about these characters ends up having no consequence to the second half, and it feels like we walked into a totally different movie. Now, I try not to judge movies based on how they compare to something else, but this reminded me a lot of another horror movie that was released this year called The Rental. I won't spoil that movie either, but I came out of that movie feeling the same way I felt about this. They're both horror movies that share the same basic idea of four characters on a weekend getaway, and in both instances, it felt like something of a waste of time. The reasons why are totally different, but essentially the way they end renders much of what was built up as totally inconsequential. And I just found both of those very frustrating, but this especially, mainly because there's such a slow burn to begin with that there were already issues keeping our attention during the first half. And once things supposedly pick up, it pivots and we're supposed to just go with it. And while there's plenty from a visual standpoint to appreciate, the shift in narrative didn't make for a satisfying experience. Overall, this was a mixed bag, and ultimately, I didn't enjoy it. It's great on a technical level, with some creepy imagery and gory moments that will satisfy those who enjoyed bloodier horror movies. Plus, it has some solid performances all around, but it can be a bit too slow in its first half. And once we get to the faster-paced second half, we realize that it renders a lot of what we saw in the first half pointless, which makes the movie feel uneven and unsatisfying. If you like weirder horror movies, you may get something out of this, but this isn't a full-fledged recommendation. The Beach House gets a 5 out of 10. So let me know, did you see The Beach House or are you planning to see it, and what were your thoughts? Did you like the story structure? Did you find it scary? And what's your favorite place for a weekend getaway? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please like it and share it, and for more movie reviews and film discussion, please make sure to hit that subscribe button to stay updated. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'll catch you next time.